feel like yours, yeah. Pull away now. Let me rise, let me ride. Put a low vibe. Let me get
Peace,
high.
peace.
I ain't proud now. I'm the smoke for this. Let me ease up. Let me rise up. Let me look up. Cause I'm godly. I just look at myself in my head again. Yeah, it's time to get it. Just look at yourself. Just look at yourself. Yeah, you got it in. I say we right. Yeah, it's time to shine. Just so
Peace, peace, peace.
I say it's time to shine. Ain't choosing sides. Ain't polarized. I do it for self. And I do it for the tribe. Don't vote for change. Sifting through the line. They hold us down. But yet we ride. Ain't choosing sides. Ain't polarized. I do it for self. And I do it
Peace,
for the
peace,
tribe.
peace.
Don't vote for change. Sifting through the lines. They hold us down. But yet we ride. It's a different age. And yet we ride. Aquarius. It's the age of the wind. Enlightenment. Gotta learn with.
Peace, peace. How you doing? How you doing? I'm excellent. Ready to get in. Can I get more? How you doing today? How we doing out there? Soul below.
And I'm a picture this, and I'm a picture perfect, but ain't not damn perfect.
But life as a whole.
Gotta climb out the hole.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
And I say, yeah, ain't choosing sides, ain't polarized. I do it for self, and I do it for the tribe. Don't vote for change.
All right, y'all, man. We finna go ahead and get it in for a little bit. So, let me go over here real quick. All right, let's get it. As y'all see the title, man, we ain't getting into the book of Adam and Eve. Went ahead and burned some frankincense and all this good stuff. Well, it ain't frankincense, but some good natural incense and just cleansing the area real quick. So elevating every day. That's what I love to hear. That's it. Elevate every day, baby. That's all we can do. That's it. Evolve. We ain't evolving in what we doing. We ain't becoming more than what we doing, right? So we get into the book of Adam and Eve today. What was on me to do is I'm gonna get a book from each spiritual background, each religion, whatever you want to call it, and we just gonna dive into it. I've been doing my research and my scholarship for a while now, so I'm gonna just start going over the books and kind of just putting things from the beginning to what we are now and relating each spirituality, each religion to reality in the sense of the simulation or the physical reality that we experience on a day by day. But then not only that, tied into duality of the principle of polarity, in the Kabbalion, and then we're gonna tie it in with all the other spiritual sects as well, if there's anything to be tied into. Because some of these spiritual backgrounds ain't really tying into nothing. They just throwing you off. So that's one of the reasons why we're going to dive into everything. Buddhism, Hinduism, Gnostics, the Druids, Christianity. And we got to remember, all of these religions start off as a spirituality. There is no such real thing as a religion. Every religion started off as a spirituality, and then from that spirituality, what they did was deceive people with the information of that spirituality to then distract the people and then conform the people the way they wanted the people to be conformed. So we're going to tap into it. So the first book, Mondays is going to be our Bible work. Tuesdays, we'll see what comes to me tomorrow. And then I'm just writing it down as it comes. I'm just letting spirit flow, the Most High flow through me. So we're just going to keep it rocking and keep it rolling. The book of Adam and Eve, a lot of people Some people consider this book a part of the Genesis, but a lot of people don't, as in mainstream Christians and religions. But it is a secret text, a secret book, according to what Apocrypha means, and understanding why they took out certain books of the Bible. So we're gonna be diving into those secret books on these Mondays, and also we're gonna be going into the actual colonial Bible, or what they considered the construct of how the Bible was supposed to be constructed, that everybody agreed with. It's all it is. And so we're going to be going into that too. The main version I'm going to be going out is the King James Version. We can go into, I might do a research day, or just do a post where I go in on King James. But if you don't know who he is, do your research and do it well. That's all I can say. As I like to start off everything, man, y'all send that love out to people that are supporting you, that ain't supporting you. It don't matter. Spread the love. Be of gratitude. Be thankful for having the opportunity to be here, because we ain't never asked to be here. So you might as well be thankful for it. All right. So we gonna dive in. I see some books down here. Acts, Mark, 1 Peter, Matthew, Luke. Appreciate it. I'm gonna keep all that. I'm gonna screenshot it so I can go ahead and get that. I'll check them out and see what we working with those. All right. So man, let's just go ahead and dive in. I already got some things kind of pre-written up, I ain't gonna lie to you guys, and we just gonna jump right into it. So the book of Adam and Eve, or in other words, let me see. All right, that's it. No, that ain't what I'm looking for. Or in other words, give me a second, y'all, because I gotta find where I left off. All right, so as in other words, it's also called Adam and Eve, and then the conflict with Satan. So if you're looking for the book of Adam and Eve, sometimes it comes up the book of Adam and Eve, and then the book of Adam and Eve, or the book of Adam and Eve and the conflict of Satan. So what we starting off in is the Garden of Eden and them getting expelled. All right, this is important, because what I realized in my research is the Garden of Eden is not on earth. All right, the Garden of Eden is another portal. It's another place. It's another dimension. All right, and how do we know this? And the reason why we know this is, first, we fell. So we fell from somewhere, meaning that we were cast out of something. So if you cast out of something, how can you dwell in it? All right. So that's very important to understand. So when these people out here talking about they searching for the garden, or they searching for these certain things, when it comes to like the Garden of Eden, you ain't gonna find the Garden of Eden on earth, because it's a different dimension. It's a different place. It's a different area. Now, how do we know this? Now, I'm reading out the book of Adam and Eve, and now I'm in the first chapter. Let me find out where I left off at. Boo, boo, boo. 3. Oh, okay, I'm on chapter 3. Y'all give me a second, because I got to go back to chapter 2 real quick. So, type it in real quick. Let me get back to chapter 2. Chapter 1. All right, bet. All right. So it says, but when God made Adam to go out the garden, he did not place him on the border of it northward, but he placed him on the border of it westward, because the earth was broad. More westward, because the earth was broader. All right. And let me see. I'm trying to find the exact verse I want to go. Forth and redeem him. Boo, boo, boo. Verse he knew. Find the flesh thereof, witnesses, if he was dark. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to find my place. All right, boo, boo, boo. Look into the. Okay. All right, so it says. Now it's explaining the Garden of Eden. My fault if I threw y'all off by taking so long. I was just trying to find my spot. Now it says. It's talking about the Garden of Eden and the different points of Garden of Eden. Now it's talking about the north side of the garden. They say, to the north of the garden, there is a sea of wafer, clear and pure to the taste, like unto nothing else, so that through the clearness thereof, you may look into the depths of the earth. So in just the first verse of the first chapter in the book of Adam and Eve, we getting into how you can look through the water in the garden and see earth. So right there, we gotta understand we dealing with different dimensions, what some people call heaven, outer space, the celestial bodies, and different things like that. We dealing with dimensions. Okay, we dealing with portals. We dealing with doors. We dealing with gateways. Okay, that's my dog in the back. If y'all hear that, that's my fault. All right, so that's the confirmation right there. That's a confirmation link. So we go. Let's read it again. And to the north of the garden, there is a sea of wafer, clear and pure to the taste, like unto nothing else, so that through the clearness thereof one may look into the depths of the earth. All right, we're not talking about water crystal clear like we're on Fiji and you see the bottom of the ocean bed or the sea floor or the cliff going into the ocean. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the depths of the earth. All right. And now we're going to go into another verse as well. That's going to confirm that as well. All right. So let's see. The trees, boo, boo, boo. And again, also merciful and pity. He made Father on the western border. So it's very bar. Way below the garden. Okay, boom. Here we go again. All right. So this is verse 8 in the first chapter of the book of Adam and Eve. It says again, also because God is merciful and of great pity and governs all things in a way he alone knows, he made our father Adam dwell in the western border of the garden. Because of that side, the earth is very broad, and commanded him to dwell there in a cave in a rock, the cave of treasures below the garden. So we got them. That's another signal. Do you mean understand? Understand as well. Yes. Understand. Pray that God gives you a job so you can start paying child support. if I had to pay child support, I appreciate you. Then embodiment celestials page. Yeah, we getting into that. On TikTok, you can't feed his kids. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, so I just want to jump into the comments real quick. But that's another confirmation point right there. When we talking about verse 9, God commanded him to dwell there in a cave, in a rock, the cave of treasures below the garden. All right. So what garden sits up high? That's what you got to think about. What in reality you know of a garden sitting above you. So we know this is another thing that's telling us that the garden is not of earth. It is a different dimension. It's in a different realm. Okay. Now, I'm sticking to these points because I got bullet points and then I'm reading from the book on my bullet points. So that's the first thing you got to realize. So after them being expelled, they had to go. They was wandering the earth and hardship and all these stuff. But that wasn't the case, because certain books throw you off, including the book of Genesis, like they was wandering and they ain't have no place to go. That's not the case. As soon as they came out the garden, they already had a place to go. That's very important to understand. All right. They eventually reached the cave of treasures and secluded there in their dwelling. All right, so my point 3 is, in the cave, Adam finds solace and protections from the element, divine protections provided by God, water in the spring tree, and the fragrant oil. All right, boom. This is what I want to get into right here. All right, Adam and Eve are being visited by angels and different things of that nature that's going on during this time. But before this time, we got to see what they are actually going through and why prophecy was being made in the beginning of Adam and Eve versus when we just see it in John, we see it in through Elijah and these other prophets that are saying stuff. But the Most High was saying things out his mouth during the time of Adam and Eve, proclaiming things and keeping the covenant with Adam. Things ain't got nothing to do with Abraham when you come from the Bible in the spiritual sense. It has nothing to do with Abraham. Everything has to do with Adam. Abraham was a vessel to help produce a seed that the Most High wanted, which we call the chosen ones or the elect. Okay, that's what we getting with this. All right. Now, another thing, how we know that the Garden of Eden was a different dimension is this here in chapter 2, what it first says, all right, in the first verse. But when our father Adam and Eve went out of the garden, they trod the ground on their feet, not knowing they were treading. Meaning they was not used to walking. They was in a spiritual body, just like we are in a fleshly, beastly body, and we need 2 feet to walk, or you need to be on all fours. They weren't used to that. So that's another thing confirming that not only do we have a fleshly body, but we also have a spiritual body that does not take what it needs to move around like the fleshly body does. Okay? So we gotta take note of these things, because we're gonna tie all of this back in over the weeks in the other religions. So we gotta be taking notes too. All right? So went out of the garden, they trod the ground on their feet, not knowing they were treading. So they was walking on the ground, not even knowing they was walking. All right? And when they came to the opening of the gate of the garden, the gate, another word for portal. All right? Another word for portal. Okay? Look up these synonyms for gate. All right? We got to know this stuff, because they throw us off with the words. They throw us off with the words and how they do the synonyms and the antonyms. All right? All right. So we got a gate, another word for gate, door, portal. Okay? Moon gate, port. See where I'm going with this? So you got it, and Google gonna tell you whether Google trying to hide it or not. They can't hide everything. Okay? Wikipedia can't hide everything. If they hide the truth, then they got to tell you the lie that's going to expose the truth. Okay? So we got a spiritual body dealing with this Adam and Eve thing here. We got a spiritual body. Now they're in a fleshly body, and they walking on the ground without even knowing that they walking. Okay? So let's get to verse 2. And when they came to the opening of the gate of the garden and saw the broad earth spread before them, and covered with stones, large and small, with sand, they feared and trembled and fell on their faces from the fear that came upon them, and they as if they were dead. And they were as dead. So that's telling us another thing. What? They weren't used to what they seen down here. Okay? That's confirming that it was something they had never experienced before. You get what I'm saying? If you put your child in a new area without you, and it's something they have never experienced before, they going to cry out. They going to do all this stuff, ball up in the corner. And our toddlers prove it. All right? And we got to think of this as them being in a childlike mindset, because what does Yeshua say, or Jesus, however you want to say it, being a child has a greater chance of entering the kingdom of heaven than a rich man. Why is this? It's the mindset. It's the innocence. All right. So, as if they were dead. That's what we left off to. Because whereas they were used to being in the garden land, beautiful planet with all manners of trees, they saw themselves in a strange land which they do not and had never seen. Never seen. Never see. So meaning that the Garden of Eden in its own place. Period. There is no other place. The earth and the Eden is not the same. So when you talking about people talking about Eden on earth and we got to do some more research. How do we know this? Let's go ahead and tie it into the Sumerians, right? Let's tie it into the Sumerian Empire, which is the oldest empire, right? What are they trying to find now? The Sumerian Empire talk about the Anunnaki and all these different interdimensional beings, not outer space beings, but interdimensional beings, where they were entering into portals. Rashad Jamal gave you that hint. They was entering into portals and entering into this realm. Okay? So it's confirming this, that the Garden of Eden is another realm, and you get to the Garden of Eden through a portal. This is what they're not telling us. This is what they're not telling us. All right? We dealing with reality in the unseen and in the seen world. Okay? We dealing with reality in the unseen and in the seen world. Once we come to a concept that the unseen is just as real as what we can see, then we are in the ballpark. Then we are in the ballpark. But until then, we ain't nowhere close. Okay? All right, let me see. All right, so after that, basically, the Father, the Most High, basically raised them from the dead. Okay? Basically raised them from the dead. All right, now let's get into the time part of it on the punishment, and then we can start actually, and from this, we can actually start calculating just from what it says in the book of Adam and Eve, before we even start comparing it to other religions and spiritualities. Okay? So let's get into it. It says, blah, 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 blah. Okay, say God said to Adam, this is the first verse in chapter 3, and we're going to read all the way through the 7th verse. It say, God said to Adam, I have ordained on this earth days and years. So he explaining what he explained in the actual Bible. Let me get it. Hold on. Now, I ain't going to say the actual Bible, but the Bible with certain texts in it, which is Genesis. He explaining that he have ordained on this earth days and years, right? Through what? The stars, the sun, and the moon, and the seasons that he put in during the creation process. Because we got to remember that earth and heaven have generations. We think we're the only ones with generations, or we think generations as, we think of it in a very basic way, as in the majority of us. But when we read scripture and we read these books, we got to actually get into the detail of it, because the detail is where we find the truth at. So it's the generations of the heavens and the earth. That's why when people say there were people created before Adam and Eve, there's a possibility. Why? Because it has generations. Okay? So I have ordained on this earth days and years, and thou and thy seed shall dwell and walk in it until the days and years are fulfilled, when I shall send the word that created thee. Okay? The word that created thee, and against which thou hast transgressed, the word that had thee come out of the garden, and the word or of the garden, and that raised thee when thou hast fallen. Okay, fallen. That's very important. That's the third confirmation that's telling us that Eden is another place. First was the crystal clear wafer river or lake that you can see through and see the depths of the earth. Second was what? Let me go back real quick so I can get it. I don't want to just tell y'all something. All right. Second was when it said the garden had set above the cave. Okay? Above the cave. Third confirmation was what? Telling us that we had fallen. We seen below through the river. We got the confirmation that it was above the cave. Now we understand that we have fallen out of a dimension that was for us. All right? A place, a kingdom that was for us. Okay? Just because we can't see it don't mean it ain't real. We got to remember that. Because what's the whole point of spirituality if you can't believe in the unseen or be aware of it or know of it? Okay? So let's get into it. All right, thou hast fallen. Yeah, the word that will again save thee within the 5 days and a half are fulfilled. All right, so it has to be, the days that have to be fulfilled is 5 days and a half. Okay, now it's going to get into and break down what is the 5 days and a half. This is very important. Okay, because they want to slap us with the 1,000,000 years, the 1,000,000,000 years, the 10,000 years. Boy, one thing about this, what we live in, it's not as old as what you think it is. You got to give us some credit on being creators in God. And if we say ye are gods, you got to give yourself some credit then. You can't just say certain things in the spiritual sense and then you want to say it took trillions of years to do something. Well, where's the God-like power during the trillions of years that was flowing through us? This ain't the first time technology and we been communicating on the phone. This ain't the first time this happened. Okay? But we gonna get into that too. All right. So boom, let's get down into it. But when Adam heard these words from God and of the great 5 days and a half, he did not understand. He did not understand. Right? Adam is a baby. He don't understand a lot of things yet that go on this plane. And Adam wept and prayed to God to explain it to him. Then this is when God broke it down. The Most High broke it down. Say, then God in his mercy for Adam, who was made after his own image, all right, in similitude, all right, in similitude, meaning not exactly, but similar. That's what we got to understand, is us in this beastly form is a representation. Even in our spiritual form, it's a representation. Okay, we not in representation in both. We're in representation in both. It's not a complete likeness. All right. Explain to him that these were 5,500 years, and how one would then come and save him in his seed. 5,500 years. Adam ain't even lived to be 1,000 years old. So we got to think about that. And from the time Adam lived in the day, then you add on his sons and their firstborns, to actually see where we at in the day and age now, in the day and age we are in now, and if that time matches up to the return of Yeshua Jesus, or if we still waiting on that and we are fulfilling spiritual times, biblical times, and prophetic times. All right, everything is here for us to figure it out. It's just on us to do it. Okay, so now we understand that the 5 days and a half is actually 5,500 years. All right. So this is according to the first man and woman being on earth, the planet Earth. We're not talking about the Garden of Eden. It's a lot of things that was happening in the spiritual realm before it even touched down to earth. Okay. Now, okay, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. But I do want to say, if you got your drink, if you got your cigar, please indulge. Please get with it. For all of that shit is not real. Jesus is not real. Well, we understand that the name and the terminology might not be real. But what we going over is all the religions. We're not just sticking to the Bible. Bible is on Monday. Tuesday, however the Spirit lead, we on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then we're going to come back here. And we're just going to compare all this information and bring it all together. Because at the end of the day, everybody's saying this didn't exist, this ain't exist. Well, according to all these spiritualities, ain't none of them exist. Because I still ain't seen Krishna's skeleton nowhere. I still ain't seen Buddha's skeleton nowhere. What's another one? Who a Druid out here? How we know Druids really exist? So when we going down and breaking down these spiritualities in the religion, we cannot have no biased opinions, because then we miss the truth. Then we get polarized, and then the veil is back over our eyes instead of lifted. This is how they get us, through distractions, through polarization, through bias. The Fox News versus the CNN News, the red versus the blue. Okay? It's like that out of basic design, because everything is in duality, but also that causes distraction if you're not using your gift of discernment through this process. We're not going to say anybody is real. What we're going to do is take the story, compare it to our reality, and then we're going to take it from there. This is just the beginning. Okay, this is just the beginning. We're going to get into the Rig Vita, all that. We're not running away from nothing. All right, we got to take these things, bring them to light, compare them. A lot of these things are similar, but through that similarity, we're going to find out what it's all really about in the first place. Okay, so far, if you're just coming in, we have established that Garden of Eden is a portal, is a place not on earth. All right, it's a place not on earth, meaning you need a door, a gate, or a portal to get there. Okay, all right, we pass into other dimensions, exactly. All right, so, and then the thing about the Matrix, what they don't tell you, but some people are, shout out to Yaki, there are different matrices. We are in a matrix within a matrix within a matrix. This is why everything has authority, everything has rule and regulations, everything has laws and principles, because we are in a, what they starting to realize now, what is called a multiverse, because they said a universe at one point in time, which is one verse. All right, we had to understand it's only one. Okay, the multiverse is multiple. So when they was talking about multiple universes, it can't be multiple universes because it's only one universe. But then you get into the multiverse. Now our terminology is being spot on, because now we talking about interdimensional. Okay, we're not talking about outer space. See how they flipped it from interdimensional to outer space. Inner self, inner knowing, to outward knowing, distractions outwardly. See? All right, so that's what we picked up at. So we're going to pick back up. Let's get back into these notes. All right, get back into these notes. All right, so now this is very, 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 very key. The times were mostly for after Adam, but Adam had more of a realer experience because he was fresh from the spiritual body. So he explains it very well about how they used to see into the heavens. All right, now I'm gonna look for that. Y'all gonna have to bear with me. All right, so boo 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 boo. God indeed, Adam looked into his flesh and it was altered. Okay, boom. This is where we going. We was talking about a spiritual flesh, okay, or a spiritual body, okay. This is how we know we have a spiritual body. It said, but Adam and Eve wept for having come out of the garden, their first abode, okay. That means they first traveled, okay. They ain't traveled nowhere but in the garden. Meaning, what was the trees and the animals that Adam was naming within the garden? All right? Because the atoms are a pure reflection of other dimensions. We're going to get into that later. All right? So, it says, but Adam and Eve wept for having come out of the garden, the first abode. All right? And indeed, when Adam looked at his flesh, it was altered. He wept bitterly. He and Eve over what they had done. And they walked and went gently down into the cave of treasures. Okay, so this is important because first Adam realized that his flesh had been altered, meaning that it was a certain type of way, and now it's this type of way. Alteration, meaning this was not in the garden. It can't be in the garden, because it's not of the garden. It could be nonsense, but whatever you believe in could be nonsense or think of. Must pass through gates. Adam communed with God, so he was in that dimension. Exactly. All right, exactly. You getting it, poker. All right. So let's get into this real quick. All right, boo boo boo. I'm trying to find something real quick. Okay, that was with the chairman. All right, cool. All right, so we got it. Boom. Confirmation of how we know that we have more bodies is right here. Body being altered once it came from a different dimension, or once it came out the Garden of Eden. All right, so when we hear Rashad Jamal, these other high influencers in this field, when they say multiple bodies, there's a truth to that. How we know? Because boom, we got one confirmation and one spirituality right here. Now we keep going through the spiritualities and different religions, and we start seeding out certain things. All right. So, well, and he look in this case to be our prison in this world and our place of punishment. All right, boom. That's what I wanted to get into. It said, this is what it said. It said, he wept bitterly, he and Eve, over what they had done, and they walked and went gently down into the cave of treasures. One thing we got to understand is that Eve is not the reason they were casted out of the garden. It was always Adam. Always. All right. All right. So we're going to break that down real quick. It wasn't Eve's fault. It was Adam's fault. Because who did he tell him to? Who did he tell it to? All right. He told it to Eve and Adam when they were one, known as Adam. All right. We got to understand the generations of heaven and the generations of earth. Adam and Eve was one at one point in time. They were together until they were split apart. Okay. So when God said, don't eat of this fruit of the tree of knowledge, who was together? Adam and Eve, known as Adam. Then he separated Eve. Not only again, Adam was male and female. Exactly. So the female part of Adam heard just as much as the male part of Adam. So either one could have done the intercourse that it took to plant the seed within themselves, or Satan to plant the seed within them. So when they procreated the seed of hatred, the hatred of all things, which Satan is, a hater of all things, right? Righteous things especially, right? Planted a seed. See, the thing we got to know about intercourse, and this is what a lot of us don't break down. Intercourse is exactly what it is. It's not just a sexual intercourse, but you have intercourse with your food, right? When you put things in your skin, such as your lotion, oils, and different things like that, it's intercourse, all right? You are trading information. You are trading something for something in order to what? Create. In order to what? Create. Think about everything that you eat food in order to create something. I bet you do. Because you're going to have a bowel movement, or you're going to have to go to the bathroom, period. You created that through your intercourse with food. All right, now let's take this in a spiritual sense. It was a spiritual intercourse, what we call the serpent, Lucifer, or Satan, or whatever. It was a spiritual intercourse in order to plant a seed within Eve. But not only within Eve. It wasn't about Eve. It had to be both of them. Because when it was said to both of them. It was a seed that was planted within both of them through intercourse, and the fruit represented the intercourse. All right? Conception, not creation. I like that. All right? Because technically Eve did conceive of something. And how do we know she conceived of what we just said, the spirit of something? Is because when she had Cain, Cain was born with a spirit of hatred. All right? With a spirit of hatred. All right, so that's one thing we got to understand. So we got to understand why Adam was being punished. Okay? Because he was the one that what? Sends the seed off. All right. She was the one that held the eggs. So everybody got punished. Eve got punished and Adam got punished. Nobody, it wasn't nobody. Cain was of Satan, his seed. But that's what we're talking about. It was a spiritual seed that was planted within. Okay. We just said this was in a different dimension. So this was a spiritual dimension. This was an unseen dimension with the fleshly eyes. Okay. So when maybe not with the fleshly eyes, but at the time you could see, Adam could see. Hopefully we can see one day, right? But it was in a different dimension. So when they came down, because we're going to get into it in the book, hopefully. Because when they fell, okay, it just said, looked at his flesh and that was altered. He wept bitterly, him and Eve, for what they have done. So they had to be altered. Meaning that they was in a different form. So now, when we have an intercourse with Satan in the spiritual dimension, that is a spiritual intercourse. That is a spiritual seed. So we can say he was a seed of Satan, but it wasn't just that. It was the seed being born, manifested, and then the teachings of, right? It was like what you said, conception. All right. It was like what you said, but a lot of us, we are born with what we already have to provide for conception. We are born with it, right? The woman is born with her eggs. We are born with our semen. So we are born equipped, ready for conception. And it's the same thing in every other aspect of it when we deal with it from that mindset of conception. If we talking about rebirth and birthing, right? Because that's a great way to look at it, because everything is a process, right? So Adam and Eve was not even real, bro. It's cool. We're not talking about the real or the fake. What we delving in is the spirituality, the story behind it, so we can come back and compare it to the reality that we living in. This ain't got nothing to do with whether people real or fake. People still believe in Viking gods and Greek gods. What are we talking about? You get what I'm saying? What are we really talking about? So that we not talking about whether we believe they was real or not. We sitting here basically comparing the spiritualities together, because we're not just stopping on the Bible. I want people to say the same thing about Krishna. I want people to say the same thing about Buddha. I want people to say the same thing about all these other spiritual beings, because where the skeletons at? It's a bunch of statues, but where the skeletons at? So at the end of the day, we can talk about a lot of stuff that's being not real, that people believe in head over shoulders. And even if they brought a skeleton, they already said some of the first dinosaur bones was chicken bones. So we got to be real about this. All right. In the sense of, let's not take it literal. Let's get the lesson from it so we can actually put things in practical practice and see what kind of world we really living in. Because a lot of us don't know the world that we living in. Let's just be honest. To the point where we say, oh, it's a simulation. Oh, everything is about love. Everything is this. And we honestly don't know. We only know from the books that we read. And then most of the time, we're not even doing real scholarship work behind the books, because a lot of us too lazy to really get into the books on each spiritual platform, compare it, and so we can come down to some type of understanding. Because the thing is, the world that we live in has been, y'all already know, a lot of y'all has been crossed over 4 times, 1,000 years added, 10,000 years added to 1 trillion, and now they think now we all over the place with it. We just got into this Egypt is America thing. You get what I'm saying? People just realizing a whole bunch of other stuff, that it wasn't a Pangea, that the cardinal directions could be completely wrong, that each civilization that's in power have their own cardinal directions. So I get it, but this is why we're doing this work right now. That's it. Exactly. All right. Y'all getting it. Y'all got it, man. Y'all got it. All right, man. Y'all got it. At the end of the day, when I say y'all got it, we got to still do our work. We got to still put our work in with these other books and everything and just compare it. Because at the end of the day, like I said, man, it's not about always believing in something. It's about, man, let me get to the source of this. Stop trying to get through with it with a middleman. Don't even go through me to get this stuff. Take notes, see what we talking about today, and then go compare this stuff with your religion, your spirituality, your background, and then compare it to your reality, what you living in for real. And that's what this is about. Because the thing about the Kabbalion, what the Kabbalion talks about is the divine paradox. And we ain't even going to get into that. We got to get into the spiritualities first before we can talk about the divine paradox, and then how things can be reconciled. Okay? Because everybody, we screaming a lot of stuff, but we not getting into, okay, boom, let's get this boiled down, not just take it by the book, but let's take it by with meditation and prayer and looking within ourselves, and then going into these books and then comparing and doing actual scholarship work. And we just stop reading out of just one text or just one spirituality, because what we gonna get into, we gonna find out that a lot of these spiritualities already been here, like they say they been here, and you don't know that a lot of these spiritualities was the reason why the flood came in the first place. But we ain't even finna get into that right now. All right, we ain't even gonna get into that right now. We just gonna stick on Adam and Eve, whether they was real or fake. Okay, so we in the book of Adam. All right. And we just left off, even though the brother tried to throw us off, we left off with their flesh being altered. So we understand that it was a difference between Eden and earth. That means the intercourse between Satan, Eve, and Adam, okay? Because it was not just Eve's fault. That's another thing that we got to get back on, because everybody want to point finger at women about this different stuff. No, man had just as much to do with this as Eve did, or Adam had just as much to do with this as Eve did, or man and woman, because it was man's responsibility to be there with his woman. That's what another thing that people look past. Why is Eve roaming by herself? Not saying that she can't, but as a man, babe, where you going? I'm gonna slide with you because you know it be lurkers out here. I'm not letting nobody just sometimes. You going out here in the wilderness by yourself. You tripping. I need you by my side. I need to make sure we doing good. We doing good. So that's another thing why Adam. And then after that, you went and ate the fruit too. So it's not just on the woman, it's more on the man. In the Most High eyes, according to the Bible, not according to me. Okay? Not according to me. Because if it was according to me, we wouldn't be here. We'd be still in the Garden of Eden. Just being honest. I would have been with Eve. Hey, babe, don't listen to the snake. Matter of fact, I'm finna chop his head off now. I don't even know what that is. I ain't even talked to that yet. But you gonna talk to my wife first? We not my girl first, or my sister first? All of that in one. First? Nah, you got me messed up. All right. So, boom, we got to get past that. We got to get past that, because a lot of people on this feminist thing, a lot of people on the masculine thing, people, they bias. It's this distraction. It was both of their faults. Okay? All right, so now there's a verse that I'm particularly looking for that I want to get into, because at one point in time, Adam was explaining how when he was in the Garden of Eden, he could see all the way up to heaven. Like, I ain't talking about the heavens that we know, as in the heaven being above you, but no, I'm talking about the kingdoms of heaven, meaning seeing the kingdoms, the physical kingdoms of heaven. Because his eyes was of what? Spiritual eyes. So he could see the reigns of heaven. All right? So exactly. So that's what we getting into. And like you say, the matriarch. And that's one thing I tell people all the time. The great part of all of this stuff in our studies, we can flip it, right? We can flip it because we know it's a duality. It's a duality, right? It's times and seasons for everything. It's for everything. It's days and years for everything. It's a season. So when we talk about matriarch, the matriarch was for a season. Now we're in the patriarch season. So we can flip it, because the thing about it, when we get into right beginning, as in matriarch, if that's where we going, then guess what's going to happen to the books? The books are going to get flipped into a matriarch point of view, or they're going to start being written in that point of view. That's why I say when we talk about the sun, we talking about S-U-N. We're not talking about S-O-N, because S-O-N have you thinking boyish. S-U-N have you thinking light, meaning that it can be a male and female, as it was in the beginning during creation, male and female. It can be either or. That's the light of the world. And that's why I'm getting back to this stuff, because a lot of people ain't breaking it down like that. It's a masculine. I get why we say masculine. Yeah, we give the seed. We have some determining of the race when you get down scientifically. But at the end of the day, that's one of the whole reason of the patriarch. And that's the whole reason that if you actually read the Bible, why the Most High said, go by your fathers, because of the seed, not because of the other way, but it could have been chosen just as well. But the reason why is because all the other civilizations around them were going by their mother. But that's a whole nother thing. No, ain't no marriage on heaven. Marriage is a thing of earth. It's a thing of earth. That's what Satan enticed Adam with in the book of Adam and Eve, was marriage. So his seed can be brought forth. He enticed them with marriage and sleeping with them, but Adam was like, hold on, bro. You Satan, I rebuke you. And then went to the Most High about it, and the Most High granted them to get married. Right? I'm glad we still on the book of Adam and Eve, but we going off a little bit, but it's okay because it's stuff we was going to get into anyway. Right? So Satan enticed them first with marriage, just like you said. All right? And then God had pity, mercy, and then said, take upon your wife. Take your sister Eve. And who did they have first? They had Cain and Luluwa. All right? Cain and Luluwa was the first twins. Cain and Abel were 3 years apart. See? So Cain and Abel were 3 years apart. Abel had his twin sister. Cain had a twin sister. The jealousy was not because of the favor of God. The jealousy was because he wanted to marry his sister, but Adam was going to give his sister to Abel. See, this is a spiritual book. This is not a religious book. See, I just called a lot of people out just based off what Cain just did. How many of us have been jealous of our brother girl in a sense of, hey, boy, I ain't saying that I have, but it's people out here that done did it. Some of y'all probably done did it on there. You missed that. All right, bring it back. Cain and Abel were not twins. They were brothers, though. 3 years apart, according to the book of Adam and Eve, not me. Okay? Cain had a twin named Luluwa. And Abel had a twin. His twin sister was named something. But Luluwa was more fair than the other sister. Cain wanted to marry his sister, but Adam had already said that they was going to swap sisters, and we was going to do it like that. But Cain wanted his sister. Okay? This ain't have nothing to do with the favor of the Most High. That didn't come until Adam and Cain went to go do a particular offering to the Most High. And that's what that was. They was already doing offerings because Adam and Eve had already taught them how to offer. Okay? And what made Abel favorable in the Most High eyes was that when he was casted from his dad's altar by Cain, he built his own altar and offered his food, and the Most High looked upon Abel. And then Cain got mad again. His anger kindled within him. His hatred started to kindle within him, burning up. And so it wasn't just one thing. It was layers and layers of things on top of the premonitions and the visions that Cain was having with Satan. So this is key, that we understand this. Okay? All right. So let's go ahead and jump into that Cain and Abel. Let me jump here in the chapter real quick. But first, boom. All right, let's see here. Let me see if this is what what I wanted. All right. Boo, 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 boo. All right. So, boom. So, what happened during this time, man, right before Cain and Abel, I want to say this. The first human sacrifice was Adam sacrificing himself. According to the Bible, in the story of the Bible, whether you believe these people real or not, let's just stick to the story. It's not about making these people real or fake. That's not what this is about. This is comparing spiritualities to spiritualities, religions to religions, and we're going to put this thing into reality and bring it back. Okay? Now, the first sacrifice that Adam did was of himself. Okay? Now, they went to the top of the mount, and Adam threw himself down. Okay? Eve didn't. Eve stood there and cried out to the Most High, do-do-do-do. Most High raised Adam yet again. It's like the 5th time, but this the last time, I think. All right, I'm pretty sure this the last time. This is when the first altar is built. Okay, now when he built the altar, very, 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 very basic. All right, very basic. Rocks piled up in a circle. Boom, that's it. Okay. Okay, so once he did this, he took the blood in the sand that was next to him, put it on the altar and burnt it up to the Most High himself. From Adam doing that, then came the prophecy of what we call Jesus of Yeshua or Christ figure. Then the prophecy of the Christ figure is said once Adam sacrifices himself unto the Most High. See, this is an Adamic spirituality. It's an Adamic thing. That's why the whole nature of matter is called Adam. We think it's a whole thing. Things don't happen out of coincidence. It's a reason for it. It's a reason for it. I want to start in the Bible because everybody be Bible talking. Everybody be Bible hopping. But is we really breaking down the Bible? Or are we just saying we Hebrews and Israelites and all of this stuff because we want to belong somewhere? You get what I'm saying? Because Adam wasn't none of that. We get down to the source. And that's what we got to get down to the source. That's why we starting in the beginning of all these spiritualities, all of these religions, and we're going to compare them and break them down into reality. The unseen reality and the seen reality. Okay? Now, that was the first sacrifice. I was trying to find it, but it's some chapters away. The fall of Adam, why might the day were created? Okay, boo, 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 boo. So when I tell y'all this is a good book, y'all gotta read it because it explains everything in the sense of day and night, this, that, and the third, but it explained it in the sense of a childlike mind of Adam and Eve because they were killing themselves on some crazy stuff. They had killed themselves when it got dark one time, and Adam just threw his head on the cave and fell dead, and Eve just sat there next to him all night praying. Crazy. Like you would read it and be like, what is this? Like, this sounds crazy. But then when you start putting it in perspective of the mindset they had coming out of different dimensions, being in a place they had never been before, then you start to put things together. Okay? Now let's get back to this sacrifice. All right? That was the first sacrifice. All right? Now, I'm going to go into I think this chapter 14. Okay? Chapter 14, it says the title of it is The Earliest Prophecy of the Coming Christ. This is in the book of Adam and Eve. What are we talking about? Well, we got to understand about the Most High. The Most High already knew that Adam and Eve was out, or Adam was going to transgress. Already. There was no, oh yeah, he got it. No, I already know you're going to do this, so I'm going to put it in the safety plan. So when you do it, I already got a way out for you and your seed. See, that's another thing. Like, a lot of people looked over. A lot of people looked over in the readings. All right. All right, let me see. Boop, boop, boop. Okay. And God said unto Adam, all this misery that thou hast been made to take upon thee because of thy transgression will not free thee from the hand of Satan and will not save thee. And let's say this again. All this misery that thou hast been made to take upon thee because of thy transgression and will not free from the hand of, you will not be free from the hand of Satan, will not save thee. Meaning that you got to go through your punishment. You got to go through what you got to go through. It ain't nothing going to save you. But I will, and this is the Father talking to Adam, but I will, when I shall come down from heaven and shall become flesh of thy seed and take upon me the infirmity from which thou sufferest. With the darkness that came upon thee in this cave, this shall come upon me in the grave. when I am in the flesh of thy seed. So everything that God prophesied about Christ coming back, the Christ figure coming back, was what? The things that Adam had went through his transgressions. But just because he was going through that stuff and it was miserable does not mean he was going to be saved earlier than those 5 days and a half, which is 5,500 years. Okay? So when we put this into reality, ain't nothing saving you. Okay? Ain't nothing saving you. You're going to have to go through your punishment. That's why the law of karma exists. That's why the law of receiving and giving exists. Because in the law of cause and effect, what was the cause of them being on earth? Because they transgressed in the garden. So the effect now is you got to go through these 5,000 something plus years of punishment, you and your sister, and y'all got to go through it. And ain't nothing going to save you but me. But I. Okay? It's very important we understand that. Or understand that, excuse me. Okay? And I, who am without years, shall be subject to the reckoning of years, of times, of months, and of days. And I shall be reckoned as one of the sons of men in order to save thee. If you save Adam, you save his seed. If you save Adam and Eve, you save their seed. Okay? Is big, okay? Okay, so look, now this is what happened. Then Adam and Eve wept and sorrowed by reasons of God's words to them, that they should not return to the garden until fulfillment of the days decreed upon them. Meaning, you or your seed is not going to the Garden of Eden until the days of punishment are fulfilled. Period. This ain't got nothing to do with Yeshua coming back. Anybody, when them days is done, that's when you're done. Period. I can come back, die again, die some more. Until the days is done, you're not done. I know it's not just common sense. That's why I be going over it. I appreciate the love. Okay? So, until fulfillment of the days decreed upon them. But mostly because God had told them that he should suffer for their salvation. He should suffer for their salvation. Adam got to suffer. That's why he was heartbroken. Him and Eve. It's like, damn, bro, we got to go through all of this. And we was out here in Kumbaya just last week. How many of us can compare? We got Big Boy check this week. Next week, but we looking crazy out here. We can't afford a haircut or nothing. You see me. All right. So, all right. So I was looking for something, but I ain't going to be able to find it. Well, I could be here finding it, but I want to keep y'all in the word. So the Adam began to come out of the cave, and he came to the mountain and stood in the face in the east, and the sunrise going to raise. All right, that's not what I want to go into. All right, so this is good. This is good. This is good. Sorry. So this is good. It says, he wept then and smote upon his breast and fell upon the earth on his face and made his request, saying, O Lord, plague me not, neither consume me, nor yet take away my life from the earth. For he thought the Son was God. All right. So when we get into, this is why reading is so important. So what book is this called? I never heard of it. Oh, this is the book of Adam and Eve. The book of Adam and Eve, or the book of Adam and Eve in the conflict with Satan. Okay. We're not saying these people are real or anything like that. We got to get the gist of the story. We got to get the moral of the story. So this is very nice what we just got here, because this is Big. Especially when it comes down to the Bible. It say, "O Lord, plague me not, neither consume me, nor yet take away my life from the earth, for he thought the sun was God." So when we talk about these sun gods, we say Christianity or Helios Biblios or the little sun god and stuff. They had the Jesus with the sun around his head, right? Here we go, confirmation. "Plague me not, neither consume me, nor take away my life, for he thought the sun was God." Adam had put this in context. Adam had stepped out the cave, and when he came out the mouth of it, he stood and turned his face toward the east and saw the sunrise and its glowing rays and felt the heat thereof on his body. And he was afraid of it and thought in his heart that this flame came forth to plague him. So he thought the sun was God. Okay? So it says, "O Adam, arise up, stand up. This sun is not God, but it has been created to give light by day, and of which I spake unto thee in the cave, saying that dawn will break forth, and there will be light by day. But I am God, who comforted thee in the night." And God ceased to commune with Adam. So he breaking it down for Adam just like he broke it down in the book that Moses broke down in the book of Genesis in the beginning. We got to remember, what about heaven and earth that a lot of people don't talk about is the generations of heaven and earth. It's very important because now we're starting to understand that these days in the generation of the heaven and earth during this creation was a generation. It was a process. It was well sought out. It was designed in order, if we talking from a creation standpoint. Okay? So Adam even believed the sun was God at one point, but had to get checked and realize that what? It was created by the God, just like the same God said, "I'm going to be here with you at night." All right? That's what the Most High is saying to Adam. Okay? So I'm just going through chapter of the serpent. All right. Boop, boop, boop. We ain't gonna go into that. All right, let me get back to my notes real quick so I can jump ahead and see which way I want to go. All right, so in Genesis and regular book, okay, it says that Adam and Eve had Cain and Abel, and they were twins. As I was saying before, they were not twins, they were brothers 3 years apart. They were twins though of sisters. Okay? Now, in most biblical texts and most people believe in the Bible and Christianity and different things, when it comes to Cain and Abel, it usually goes like this. However, the discord arises between Cain and Abel due to Cain's envy and jealousy toward his brother's favor with God. Has nothing to do with his favor with God, because Cain could have received that same favor but chose not to. Okay, that's important. He chose not to. I couldn't even say he had a choice. In fact, he didn't have a choice, because he was a pure seed of Satan, which put a spiritual seed within Eve. So when she conceived, you got Cain. It's a plot twist. Not really though. All right. So let's try to get here. Let's get up here a little bit. I gotta skip through some of these. All right. All right, so. All right, boo boo. My fault, y'all. But, all right, so like I said earlier, man, if you got your drink, you got your cigar, by all means, get it in. Okay, boom. So, I want to jump back real quick. Remember when I said about the sacrifice, the first human sacrifice was Adam sacrificing his own blood, not child. He has not had a child yet. Okay. Now, it says, let me go back real quick because I want to read it in full context for you real quick. All right. Okay. Then Adam and Eve stood under the, oh, nope, that ain't what I want. Okay, boom. Let me go back a little bit more because I want to put it in full context for y'all. My fault if I'm taking a long time. I apologize. Okay. All right. It said, okay, so we gonna go all the way. We gonna go all the way with this chapter. It say, then Adam said to God, I wither in thy heart. I am faint from walking and loath of this world. I am not when thou wilt bring me out of it to rest. Then the Lord God said unto him, O Adam, I cannot be at present, not until thou hast ended thy days. Then shall I bring thee out of this wretched land. So we won't get out of this land until the days have ended. And Adam said to God, while I was in the garden, I knew neither heat nor languor, neither moving about, nor trembling, nor fear. But now since I came to this land, all these afflictions have come upon me. Okay. Then God said to Adam, so long as thou wast keeping my commandments, my light, my grace rested on thee. But then thou didst transgress my commandments, sorrow and mercy befell thee in this land. Okay. Now this is, and then it said, then God said unto Adam, Adam wept and said, O Lord, do not cut me off for this. This is the whole conversation. He crying out right now. Neither smite me with the heavy plagues, nor yet repay me according to my sin. For we of our own will did transgress thy commandments. For we of our own will did transgress thy commandments and forsook thy law and sought to become gods unlike unto thee, when Satan the enemy deceived us. Then God said again unto Adam, because thou hast borne fear, trembling in this land, languor and suffering, treading and walking about, going upon this mountain and dying from it. All right, context. I had to put that in context. And dying from it, I will take all this upon myself in order to save thee. Now, let's go back into that Christ thing, that prophecy again. Christ died upon the mount, sacrificed himself upon a mountain. Why? Because that's what Adam did. We think this thing has to do with Abraham and these other boys. No, everything has to do with Adam, the beginning. Remember, and there is no middleman for the Most High. It's only source. Peace. I appreciate it, Tom. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're gonna get into all that, because everybody want to say when it comes to that what he's referring to in the chat. When referring to that, everybody want to claim everything was black. Well, then if everything was black, then the 13 families had to start off what? And then the people that we see in the day and age in the light that we see now is what? Puppets. All right. How do we know? Even the Bible confirmed that they're puppets, because they say that the Edomites had a time and a place to reign. So meaning they are being puppeteered. They are puppets to the puppeteer, which is the Most High, that's putting things in people's hearts in order for them to do in order for them to move. We think things just happen. No, it's called the breath of life for a reason. All right. So let's get back into it. All right. Dying from it, I will take this upon myself in order to save thee. All right. That is a what? Premonition, or a prophet, or a prophetic line right there saying about the Christ figure. I'm going to say Christ figure because everybody don't know if Jesus is real or not. So however you want to play it, you can play it. All right. So saying Adam wept more and said, have mercy on me, so as far as to take upon thee that which I would do. But God took his word from Adam and Eve, meaning that he stopped talking to him. All right. Remember, when a lot of the times when I'm going to go into that because I got to present that differently so y'all can understand it. OK, because you can have ears, you can have eyes, you can have a mouth, but you can have eyes that don't see. You can have ears that don't hear, and you can have a mouth that don't speak. All right. So we're going to break that down a little bit later. I want to get more into the book. And she girded, all right, and it said, stop spoken. And then Adam and Eve stood on their feet. Adam said to Eve, gird thyself, and I also will gird myself. And she girded herself, and also actually And Adam also, as Adam told her to do, excuse me. Then Adam and Eve took stones, placed them in the shape of an altar, and they took leaves from the trees outside the garden, with which they wiped from the face of the rock the blood they had spilled. Okay, they wiped the blood off the face of the rock that they had spilled. But that which had dropped into the sand, they took together with the dust wherewith it was mingled, and offered it upon the altar as a offering unto the Most High. So when we say that Adam and Eve sacrificed themselves, or Adam sacrificed themselves, was the first blood sacrifice, this is where we're going with it. Right there. It's not me saying it, it's me reading out the book. Okay? Because I ain't making nothing up. I can make some stuff up, but then y'all gonna really sound crazy. All right. So that was the first sacrifice, was the blood. And then Adam and Eve stood under the altar and wept, thus entreating God, forgive us our trespass and our sin. Look upon us with thine eye of mercy. From when we were in the garden, our praises and our hymns went up before thee without ceasing. But when we came into this strange land, pure praise was no longer ours, nor righteous prayer, okay, nor understanding hearts, nor sweet thoughts, nor just counsel, nor long discernment, nor upright feelings, neither is our bright nature left us. Or neither is our bright nature left us, but our body is changed from this similitude in which it was at first when we were created. So boom, it's telling you again that the bodies that they are in, from the internal organs, the way they think, praise, feel, everything is not the same. So when we talk about we can't fathom these other dimensions because we're not in the body to fathom, that's what we talking about. We're not talking about you can't fathom it because you are in a fleshly body. You only know of this world. And everything else is a vision or a admiration. Admiration, if I'm saying that right. But everything else is a vision or a dream. You in the astral world, well, you are having an out-of-body experience. It's a vision or a dream. Just being real. Right? Just being real with you. Okay, so now look upon your bloods, which is offered upon these stones, and accept it at our hands, like the praise we used to sing unto thee at first when in the garden. This is why the Most High liked the offerings. I ain't talking about blood. I ain't talking about blood offerings, all right? Or sacrificial, all of this. Offering ain't nothing but a barbecue. Just being honest with y'all, okay? So this is why it was pleased by the Most High, because of that saying, at first when in the garden, because now they are going back to or trying to replicate something or give something of value from which they had left. Because that's important, because as you read on, the Most High began to give treasures from the garden and from the ends of the earth that the angels had brought to Adam and Eve. Okay. All right. And then it goes into the life and death of Christ that I just broke down. We know it's the life and death of Christ and how it's established, because that's the main thing in the book. But now we understand why, because what happened to Adam and Eve. Okay. I'm going to try to fast forward here. I ain't going to be out here too much longer. But I'm going to try to fast forward so we can get into the threat, not the threat, but the deception of marriage, and why Satan wanted for Adam and Eve to get married. Okay, so we're going to get into that. Alrighty. Okay, so real quick, y'all give me a second. Y'all got, like I said earlier, Let the eye be single, meaning to see with your third eye. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right, there we go. Now, one thing about the spirituality, a lot of these things that I'm starting to understand were here during the time of Adam. All right, we're going to get into that. All right, we're going to get into that. So all this third eye stuff, everything that we talk about, as above, so below, all this stuff. We're gonna see how it was back then and then in the times of Sumeria, right? In the Sumerian, the most ancient civilization, which is Sumerian. We're going to see why that is the most ancient civilization and not the other civilization that they could have named. It's very important. Very important. All right. All right. So I'm trying to find when they start. Let's see the first worldly goods. Boo, boo, boo. Okay. That ain't what I want. They make themselves more comfortable in the cave of treasure on the third day. Coolio. I'm going to find it, y'all. Y'all give me a second. But when I tell you, they went like 80 to 100 days, they ain't even eat. You talking about fasting for real. Talking about the first 42 days and another 42 days. And then now, well, let's stop right real quick and get into what happened when Adam and Eve first ate. Let's talk about that real quick. So we dealing in the book of Adam and Eve. Now we talking about when their bodies were lean and parched from hunger and thirst, from fasting and praying, from their heavy sorrow on account of their transgression. So we got to remember, the Adam and Eve did not eat since leaving the garden. Meaning the ultimate fasters and prayers is Adam and Eve, and ain't never been nobody like them, period. Okay. Another thing I found out, praying, it's not a kneeling thing. It's a standing up thing. It is a standing up thing. Okay. That's one thing I just want to throw that in there for y'all. Standing up, hands wide for all y'all that be with the prayer boy. All right. So, I'm just trying to figure out where I want to come in at, y'all. Y'all give me a second. All right, so during this time, okay, so this time was the first time they said they was hungry, but they did not eat. They had got figs from the Garden of Eden. God had the angel bring them figs from the Garden of Eden. All right, and the reason that they did not go searching for fruit and for fruit trees in the land is because they thought the Most High would destroy them. All right, why is this? Okay, it says, "O Adam, when thou was in my garden, now thou knewest neither eating nor drinking," meaning they did not eat or drink in the garden. So what fruit is we eating of in the garden? Man, look, man, I'm trying to break it down. All right. So that's why I say it was an intercourse, a spiritual intercourse. How do we know it's a spiritual intercourse that happened in the garden? And it was not a actual eating of a fruit. Okay. "O Adam, when thou was in my garden, thou knewest neither eating nor drinking, neither faintness nor suffering, neither leanness of flesh, nor change, neither deep sleep depart from thy eyes. But since thou transgressed, thou camest into this strange land, and all these trials are upon thee." These are the trials and tribulations that we talking about. Okay. Well, it's not just that they didn't need food back in those times. I get where you're going with it, but I'm just dealing on this spirituality right now in the BIBLE, right? And we're gonna go into another one tomorrow, and from their beginning standpoint. So it says, "O Adam, when thou was in the garden, thou knew us neither eating nor drinking. If you were here in the beginning, we know that the Garden of Eden, is not on earth. It's not a place on earth. It's not a physical place on earth. This is another dimension. This is another world that you must take a portal or a door to, or a gateway, right, to get there. That's what we're dealing with. So when we talk about this stuff with CERN and all of this, these are people trying to get back to the Garden of Eden. Because we already read that nobody can get back to the Garden of Eden until the days have been fulfilled. So, worshiping a wicked knowledge. Well, I don't know. You talking about CERN or you talking about me? I ain't worshiping nothing right now. All right? I ain't worshiping nothing. All right. All right. So the same figs that God, like the Most High, gave Adam and Eve, which is, I found this hilarious, was the same figs from the tree that he gave the fig leaves to cover themselves. Suppose that's what Adam and Eve said. I found that funny. I was like, look, God petty in a way, but we ain't gonna say nothing about that. Oh boy. So I'm trying to fast forward to Cain and Abel. And so we can get into that, because that's big. We got to understand Cain and Abel. I think for the most part, we understand it. Yeah, figs. The forbidden figs. We talking about not the forbidden tree. It was the fig tree. All right. It was the fig tree that he clothed them with, and it was the figs that was their first food on the planet Earth from the garden. Coincidentally. Right. Don't remember no nothing. All right. Now we got to remember, once they got these figs, right, they couldn't even eat them, or they was afraid to eat them because they didn't know what it was going to do to them. Okay. All right. So we're going to get into that, but they did not eat the figs the first time. The first time they let the figs, they ain't let them spoil, but they let him do his own thing. All right. And this said, and then the word God came to Adam and said unto him, O Adam, why hadst thou not this dread, neither this fasting, nor this care or this? And why hadst thou not this fear before thou didst transgress? So what he's saying is, before you fail, well, why didn't you care about your hunger? Why didn't you care about all of this stuff you're going through now? But when thou camest to dwell in this strange lands, thy animal body could not be on earth without earthly food to strengthen it and to restore its powers. So when they say beastly body, animal body, mark of the beast, these different things, we are talking about ourselves. What we have done to ourselves through negative, evil, bad vibes, spirits, or energy. Okay. All right. All right. So let's see. I'm trying to fast forward, man. This book is pretty long. It got over 100 chapters. So I'm just trying to go through it. And the site that I'm on, I got to literally click through everything. And I'll tell you, but the devil, like the Satan was trying everything to take them boys out of there. I'm talking about everything. All right, so. Oh, that was a good one, but I ain't going to get into that. I ain't going to get into that. It was about why Satan couldn't fulfill his promise of being like gods or partaking of the tree of good and evil. Because he ain't create none of that. So it said, God said unto Adam, see Satan's love for thee, who pretended to give thee the Godhead and greatness, and behold, he burns thee with fire and seeks to destroy thee from off the earth. So, ain't even playing. Satan wasn't even playing with him. Satan trying to burn them down and everything once they came out here. Satan said out his mouth, but Satan, the hater, see, this is why we got to understand who Satan is. But Satan, the hater of all good, he's a hater. That's all you need to take from it, a hater. So when you see people hating on you and do all this stuff, you know what they got the spirit of. And you can take that however you want to take it, okay? It's already a negative terminology. Because all of this stuff is still positive, negative, light, dark. It's still in the correspondence of polarity and duality. Thought within themselves, whereas God has promised salvation to Adam by covenant, and that he would deliver him out of all hardships that have fallen him, but has not promised me by covenant, and will not deliver me out of my hardships. Nay, since he has promised him that he should make him and his seed dwell in the kingdom in which I once was, I will kill Adam. So this is a jealousy thing. This is a hatred. This is a hatred thing. This is why the intercourse with Adam and Eve by Satan, both of them, was so important in the other dimension, because he knew if he got them to do that in that dimension, they will fall to earth. The Most High already knew they was going to fall, so he had already set up precautions for the fall. All right? It's very important. So now we know why Satan is hating. Because the covenant, he don't have a covenant with the Most High. He ain't getting no promises. All right? We're replacing him in his own realm that he was born into. All right? That's big. So it took up a huge rock. Oh, okay, that was that one. Well, Satan was trying to kill them so many times, it wasn't even funny. I'm talking about if you read the book of Adam and Eve and you see how much Adam and Eve went through, you be like, well, I see why I go through what I go through. We just going off the biblical book tonight. We'll go off the Rig Vita, the some other spiritual book tomorrow. But right now, we in the biblical theme, boy. All right. So I'm gonna get on here. I'm still trying to skip to this. All right, boom. Let's get into this. This is good. This is good. Because this is big right here. Because we get into the garments of Adam and Eve. The garments of Adam and Eve are important because those are the garments that Nimrod wore. Because that was what helped give Nimrod his power. Okay, so let's get into it. And it took place at the end of the 50 days after they had left the garden. But Adam and Eve rose again and prayed to God in the cave the whole of that night and begged for mercy from him. And then they dawned. Adam and Eve said unto Eve, come, let us go do some work with our bodies. So they went out of the cave and came upon the northern border of the garden. They sought something to cover their bodies withal. But they found nothing and knew not how to do the work. Yet their bodies were stained and they were speechless from cold and heat. Okay. Then Adam stood and asked God to show him something wherewith to cover their bodies. And then came the word of God and said unto him, O Adam, take Eve and come to the seashore. There ye fasted before, where you fasted before, which they fasted in the river for 42 days and 42 nights. There ye shall find skins of sheep whose flesh have been devoured by lions, whose skin were left. Take them and make a remnant for yourselves and clothe yourselves withal. Okay. So Adam sold him and Eve sold their own garments through the guidance of an angel or a thought, all right, or a vision, if you want to say, okay. Releasing from their bonds, boot. All right. So after this, Adam said no more, but wept before God on account of their creation and of their bodies that required an earthly covering. Adam said unto Eve, O Eve, this is the skin of beasts with which we shall be covered. But when we have put it on, behold, a token of death shall have come upon us. Inasmuch as the owners of these skins have died and have wasted away, so shall we die and pass away. Y'all just think about that for a second and let that sit with y'all for a second. Cause that was, if y'all get it, I know y'all get it, but let it sit there for a second though. Let it sit there for a second. All right. Okay, and so it says, and then Adam and Eve took the skins and went back to the cave of treasures, and when in it, they stood and prayed as they were wont, however they said. And they thought how they could make the garments of those skins, for they had no skill for it. Then God sent to them his angel to show them how to work it out. And the angel said to Adam, go forth and bring some palm thorns. And then Adam went out and brought some as the angel had commanded him. And then the angel began before them to work out the skins after the manner of those who prepares a shirt. And he took the thorns and stuck them into the skins there before their eyes. Then the angel again stood up and prayed God that the thorns in those skins should be hidden so as to be as it. All right. So the whole point of me saying all of this stuff is the understanding the first garments of what Adam and Eve wore that then Nimrod wore to become who he was as the man of great renown of who he was. Okay. So I just wanted to get that. And the whole reason why Nimrod had it is because it was prophesied through Adam to his son Seth, and then Seth's children, that when the flood came, they had to take all the treasures of the Garden of Eden from this other dimension onto Noah's Ark. All right. It's very important. That's how Nimrod got it. All right. That's how Nimrod got it. Which who took? Ham stole from his dad. Okay, with the Ham? Yeah, Ham stole from his dad. All right, we gotta call a spade a spade. We gotta call a spade a spade. I'm sorry, guys. We gotta call a spade a spade. It is what it is. All right, so now we finna go into, I know I've been saying this all night, I gotta get into Cain and Abel. Because if I don't get into Cain and Abel, I won't be able to really get the point that I want to get across. All right, so okay, cool. All right, so I'm trying to find my spot, y'all. I'm sorry, man. Like I say, it's almost 100 chapters in this one book alone. All right, so boom, finally find it, y'all. 13 minutes later. All right, so I'm almost done for the night. So I do gotta get up. Everybody in the house sleep but me. But we gotta get the word out. We gotta get the word out. We gotta get this out. Okay. Now, this is the 8th apparition of Satan to Adam and Eve. This is the 8th. Hope y'all keeping count. I ain't go win all over all 8 of them. But you can easily go look up this book, okay, and read for yourself. No, we ain't taking none of that. All right, so let's get into it. All right, the eighth admonition. All right, then came the word of God unto Adam, who raised them from their suffering. God said unto Adam, be strong and be not afraid of him who has just come to thee. And Adam wept and said, where was thou, O my God, that they should smite me with such blows, and that this suffering should come upon us, upon me, and upon Eve, thy handmaid? All right. Woo, woo, woo. Oh, what they did. Let me see. The prayers. Satan is in great witness, took his host and came upon to in the cave in the 30th night of the 40 days and one, and smote Adam and Eve until he left them dead. All right, so you understand that's the eighth time, and that's him trying to kill him, and succeeded with him and his host, and God brought him back to life. All right, this is after the sacrifice and everything. Okay, so I'm trying to find that we were spirits. Why does religion matter? Because this is human religions, aka experience. The reason why a lot of this stuff matters is because ain't none of us asked to be here or remember asking to be here. If we want to go into that we were all here for a divine mission and divine purpose. So the reason why these things matter, and I get the experience part of it, but it matters because we did not ask to be here, right? We did not ask to be here. So if you didn't ask to be here, you want to understand why you are here, right? Yes, we are here for an experience, right? And that experience is for the pleasure of the creator, whoever it might be. It's really that simple. So our experience here, we're going to get that regardless, depending on what level of experience you want to have in this realm. But then to really find out the purpose, not just through experience, but through, I would say, through time. You know, that's why this is so intriguing. This is why people do this year after year, decade after decade, generation after generation. And this is why, to get a complete understanding of the purpose of the human experience. What's the purpose of the human experience? What's the purpose? You know, why? When we didn't ask for it, as far as we know. You know? So that's one of the reasons why I do what I do. All right, so all right, so let's see. Man, it's a wow, boy. I ain't realized. Oh, yeah, it's definitely gonna be a while. 2 fruit trees. Oh boy. Yeah, it's gonna be a minute. So I'm gonna have to keep going through this, y'all. Y'all just partake. Oh, boom. Let's go ahead and do this. Adam and Eve partake of their first earthly food. So let's get into this. All right. He said to them, go ye in the cave and eat the figs and satisfy your hunger, lest ye die. So as God commanded them, they went into the cave about the time when the sun was setting. And Adam and Eve stood up and prayed. Listen to what I just said. Adam and Eve stood up and prayed at the time of the setting sun. Remember, we're not kneeling when we praying. Oh, now my phone froze. My fault. My battery going dead, y'all. Well, I'm on about 10% right now, so we're gonna rock out. We're gonna rock out to about 2. If I can get on the charger, I'll try. So they were scared to eat the figs because they didn't know what it was gonna do. Not only that, they was nervous because, or they was fearful because they didn't want to start liking the earthly food. You get what I'm saying? They in their hearts, they didn't want to take to liking the food. But while they were thus seated, God, out of pity for them, sent them angels, lest they should perish of hunger and thirst. And the angel said unto Adam and Eve, God says to you, that ye have not the strength to fast until death. Eat, therefore, and strengthen your bodies, for ye are now animal flesh that cannot subsist without food or drink. Period. That's a reality that we live in, right? So when we see Black Law Dictionary, we see these people calling us monsters and all these different things. It's the reason why they doing this stuff. This is animalistic. Everything in our body is telling you that, and everything in our body you can compare to an animal out here. That's saying a lot. But then all of us out here talking, screaming God. God body this. I get it. I'm one of them. Right? But then we have to put it back into reality at the same time too and realize who we are in this avatar in this body. That is big. That is big. Okay? So let's look at it. I want to get into something because it was very profound when I read it. But while they were thus seated, God, out of pity of them, sends angel so they don't perish. Boo, boo, boo. Okay. Therefore eat. And then Adam and Eve took the figs and began to eat of them. But God had put into them a mixture of savory bread and blood. Okay. Don't ask me why. I just did it. Then the angel went from Adam and Eve, who ate the figs until they had satisfied their hunger. Then they put what remained, but by the power of God, the figs became full as before because God blessed them. After this, Adam and Eve arose, prayed with a joyful heart, and renewed their strength, and praised and rejoiced abundantly the whole night. And this was the end of the 83rd day. So they did not eat for 82 days. Let's put that in. They did not eat for 82 days. So we got to start giving Adam and Eve more credit. A lot more credit. All right. So now let's get into it, because even when Adam and Eve was here, their bodies was not all the way conducive to do these, to be eaten. So now we're in the chapter of I don't even know, LXB. So if y'all know what that is, that's what chapter we on. And then it was the day they arose and prayed after their custom, and then they went out of the cave. But as they felt great trouble from the food that they had eaten, to which they were not used to, they went about in the cave, saying to each other, "What has happened to us through eating, that this pain should not have come upon us? Woe be to us, we shall die. Better for us to have died than have eaten, and to have kept our bodies pure than to have defiled them with food." Okay? And Adam said to Eve, "This pain did not come to us in the garden, neither did we eat such bad food there. Thinkest thou, O Eve, that God will plague us through the food that is in us, or that our inwards will come out, or that God means to kill us with the pain before he has fulfilled his promise to us?" All right. And then Adam prayed unto God, and then God looked upon them, and at once fitted them for eating food as unto this day, so they thought they should not perish. All right. All right. So during that time after they ate, God had just made their intestines, their internal organs. That was the fitting that was going on within themselves, of their organs being fitted for the food for them to digest. All right. How we know this? Because then Adam and Eve came back into the cave, sorrowful and weeping, because the alteration in their nature, and they both knew from that hour that they were altered beings, that their hope of returning to the garden was now cut off, and that they could not enter it. Kaput. It's over with for you. We ain't even walking back to the garden no more. After this, they ain't even walk back to the garden, to the portal no more. The main reason why is because it was over with. They couldn't even see the garden how they used to see it. They couldn't see the portal. They weren't pure. They were defiled. But if they did not defile themselves by eating, they would not have survived. All right, we're in the book of Adam and Eve, y'all. I know some people don't say it's real, some people do, but we're not doing this based off what's real and what's fake. We're doing this purely for what? Scholarship. All right, purely for scholarship. Okay, so boom, so we got that. Okay. Okay, find food. Woo woo. That's when they first found some food. Satan began to lead astray Adam and Eve. Down to the black mud. Okay, boom. That's when Satan led them away, and they walked for 8 days and died just by following vision. So when you see them people, they be following the vision. They be out here wanderers and all this stuff. They just find them dead. How the destruction and the trouble is of Satan when he is the master, and Adam and Eve established the custom of worship. Okay, boom, boom. That's going into that. We don't want to get into that. We got to get into this. Okay, so boom. This is it. Oh, okay. Tremble in the bee. Yeah, I know not. I am the angel who brought the gold. I don't know these words. I swear and promise. I don't have all his hand. I put it into Satan's hand, saying, okay, boom. All right, I remember that. All right, so, but Adam was getting tricked too, but Adam was swearing against God and everything. That's what we got to understand. See, we put all this hatred on women and all of this, like they done bit the apple and did all this. But at the end of the day, Adam was falling right into it too. Yeah, no problem. We here for it. I'm here for you. So that's why we getting it in. All right. All right. So let's see. All right. Boom. That's what it was. So this is it here. Okay. All right. So let me go back. I found it, y'all. This was the marriage, because we had mentioned this earlier in the comments about marriage and how marriage was not a heavenly thing, that marriage was actually enticed by Satan to throw Adam and Eve off yet again. Okay? Did I get back to the right one after Satan? All right, so let me see. Now, let me go back one more so I can put it in context. All right, so, all right, it's this one. All right, so basically, here we're gonna break it down. All right, so it says, after this, Satan, the hater of all good, took from the form of an angel, and with him 2 others, the host of Satan. So they look like the 3 angels who had brought Adam the gold, incense, and myrrh. Okay, because it was 3 angels that brought Adam treasures once he started doing the sacrifice and started pleasing God and different things like that. God started blessing with different treasures around the world. So they passed there before Adam while they were under the tree and greeted Adam with fair words that they were full of guile. But when Adam and Eve saw their comely mien and heard their sweet speech, Adam arose and welcomed them, brought them to Eve, and they remained together. And Adam's heart, the while being glad because he thought concerning them they were the same angels who had brought them the gold, incense, and myrrh. Because when they came to Adam the first time, they came upon him from them peace and joy. They're bringing him good tokens. All right. Adam said, "What is it?" Then answered, "It is a light thing, yet it is a word of God. Wilt thou hear from us and do it? But if thou hearest not, will not return to God and tell him, we will return to God and tell him thou wilt not receive his word." And said again, "Adam, fear not, neither let a trembling come upon thee. Thus not thou know us." But Adam said, "I know you not." Then Satan said to him, "I am the angel who brought the gold and took it into the cave. This other one is the one who brought the incense, and the third one is the one who brought the myrrh, whilst on top of the mountain who carried thee into the cave. But as of the other angels, our fellows who bear you to the cave, God has not sent them with us this time, for he said to us, you suffice." So Adam heard these words and believed them, and said to these angels, "Speak the word, that may I receive it." And God said unto him, "Swear and promise me that we receive it." And Adam said, "I do not know how to swear and promise." So this is what we're talking about. I know I rambled on to get to there, but we had to get there. I do not know how to swear and promise. So you cannot get married unless you know how to promise or swear under oath. All right? Or under God. Okay? So this is the beginning of the deceitfulness about the marriage. All right? And God said unto him, "Hold out thy hand and put it inside my hand." Listen to what's going on. Then Adam held out his hand and put it into Satan's hand. And when Satan said unto him, "Say now, so true as God is living, rational and speaking, who raised the heavens in space and established the earth upon the waters, and has created me out of the four elements and out of the dust of the earth, I will not break my promise nor renounce my word." And Adam swore this. And then Satan said unto, "Lo, it is now time, since thou comest out of the garden, thou knowest neither wickedness nor evil. But now God says to thee to take Eve, who came out of thy side, and to wed her, that she bear thee children, to comfort thee and to drive from thee trouble and sorrow. Now this thing is not difficult, neither is there any scandal in it to thee." See, if we peep, when Satan be talking, he be talking a lot. You ever hear them people that just be talking and then they talk themselves right into a situation? This is what Satan be doing. Sometimes it's good for him, sometimes it's bad for him. All right? But when Adam heard these words, and he sorrowed much because his oath and his promise, and said, I shall commit adultery with my flesh and my bones, and shall I sin against myself for God to destroy me and blot me out from the face of the earth. All right? So all rip, Adam was like, "Man, you tripping." Okay? Now, but the thing was, all right, but the thing was, when Satan tempted Adam with marriage, it says, but from that day, Adam struggled in his mind about his wedding Eve, and afraid as he was to do it, lest God should be wroth with him. Then Adam and Eve went to the river and the water and sat on the bank as people do when they enjoy themselves. But Satan was jealous of them and would destroy them. All right. Then Satan, intended from his host, transformed themselves into maidens, unlike any other in the whole world of grace. Then came up to the river in the presence of Adam and Eve, and they said amongst themselves, "Come, we will look at thy face of Adam and Eve, who are the men upon the earth, All right. And how beautiful they are, and how different is their look from our own faces." They came to Adam and Eve and greeted them and stood wondering at them. And Adam looked at them and also wondered at their beauty, and said, "Is there then under us another world with such beautiful creatures as these in it?" Boom. Is there under us another world with such as beautiful creatures as these in it? All right, he asking that question. And those maidens said to Adam and Eve, yes, indeed. We are an abundant creation. So we hear about Atlantis, underwater civilizations. I'm just talking about Atlantis as an underworld civilization, right? We hear about Middle Earth, right? We're going to go into those spiritualities, into those parables and stories and different things. But we're going here, this one story just in the first chapter of the Adam and Eve. Well, not the first chapter, but supposedly the first book as part of the Genesis is going in on all of this. So we got to question it too, right or wrong. All right. They said, yes, indeed, we are abundant in creation. Then Adam said to them, but how do you multiply? And they answered him, we have husbands who wed us, and we bear them children who grow up, and who in turn wed and are wedded, and also bear children, and thus we increase. And if so be, O Adam, thou wilt not believe us, we will show thee our husbands and our children. I ain't saying this. This somebody else wrote this. I'm just reading it, right? I'm just reading it. This is, remember, this is Satan and his host deceiving Adam and Eve. So we can't sit here and act like, this is truth coming out right now. On either side, okay? Well, I want us to be neutral in this while we reading this, because once we get too biased or too polarized, that's when we lose our way. We want to stay on the straight and narrow, okay? So they tempt them to see the husbands and everything. So all right. And then after that whole apparition and everything, it said, then Adam and Eve went back to the cave of treasures as they were used to about the evening time. And they both arose and prayed to God that night. And Adam remained standing in prayer. Standing in prayer. I cannot get over that. Adam remained standing in prayer, yet not knowing how to pray, by reasons of thought of his heart regarded his wedding. He did not know how to pray regarding his heart. Not saying he didn't know how to pray, but he didn't know how to pray what was in his heart to pray for. By reasons of the thoughts of his heart regarding his wedding Eve. And he continued so until the morning. And when light arose, Adam said unto Eve, arise, let us go below the mountain, where they brought us gold, and let us ask the Lord concerning this matter. And then Eve said, what is that matter? What is that matter? And he answered her, that I may request the Lord to inform me about wedding thee, for I will not do it without his order, lest he make us perish, thee and me, for those devils have set my heart on fire with thoughts of what they showed us in their sinful apparitions. All right. So now once Adam went to God and everything, I'm going to go fast forward. We're going to fast forward to see what God said. They say there are many worlds out there. Yep. That is the thing. That is the thing. And that's what we're doing this. So we can boil all these worlds down. And we start feeding out this nonsense and everything, man. But we gotta take time to break it down. We gotta break it down from the beginning, word by word, chapter by chapter, precept upon precept, line upon line. So we gotta get it in. All right. So it says, then God looked upon the words of Adam, that they were true, and that he could he could long await his order respecting the counsel of Satan. And God approved Adam in what he had thought concerning this. And in the prayer he had offered in his presence, and the word of God came unto Adam and said unto him, O Adam, if only thou hast had this caution at first, ye thou earnest out of the garden into this land. All right. So God just like, man, I wish you was thinking like this before you came down here, but you not. So after that, God sent his angel who had brought gold, and the angel who had brought incense, and the angel who had brought the myrrh to Adam. And they showed and informed him respecting his wedding with Eve, or him wedding Eve. Then those angels said unto Adam, take the gold and give it to Eve as a wedding gift, and betroth her. Then give her some incense and myrrh as a present, and be ye thou and she one flesh. Adam hearkened to the angels and took the gold and put it into Eve's bosom in her garment, and betrothed I'm saying it right, her with his hand. And then the angels commanded Adam and Eve to arise and pray 40 days and 40 nights. And after that Adam should come into his wife, for then this would be an act of pure, undefiled, and he should have children who would multiply and replenish the face of the earth. Then both Adam and Eve received the words of the angels departed from them. All right. Then Adam and Eve began to fast and to pray until the end of the 40 days. This is another 40 days they done fasted and prayed before they even start to have sexual intercourse and all that in marriage. And then they came together, and as the angels told them, and from that time Adam left the garden until he wedded Eve were 223 days. All right. That is 7 months and 13 days. Thus was Satan's war with Adam defeated. All right. So I like that, what you just said there. Adam and Eve were the first humans who were on this side that seeded this side of the multiverse. Because we just broke that down and how the Garden of Eden and all that is a portal. It's a dimension, right? It's not of this plane. So when we hear these fools talking about, oh, the Garden of Eden was on earth. Whoa, buddy. Slow it down. Who told you that? What book you read that? What information are you regurgitating? I get we all regurgitating information, but you can tell who ain't meditating in the spirit. You can tell who ain't meditating in the spirit. You can tell who ain't prayed up. This stuff matters because that's how we get the details of this stuff. We be hearing a lot of stuff, but we got to meditate on it and compare it to all these religions and spirituality because they all tie in somehow. Believe that. All right, the birth, this is what I was trying to get to, man. Y'all got me on here for an extra hour, so y'all better appreciate this. The birth of Cain and Luluwa. Why they received those names. It's no Cain and Abel yet. Cain and Luluwa. Remember, he had a twin sister before he was with Abel. Okay, so they dwelt on the earth working, blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna skip all that. So God looked at his maidservant Eve and delivered her, and she brought forth her firstborn son, and with him a daughter. Then Adam rejoiced at Eve's deliverance, and also over the children she had borne him. And Adam ministered unto Eve in the cave until the end of the 8 days. And when they named their son Cain, and the daughter Luluwa. All right. So 8 days later, that's when he named them. The meaning of Cain is hater. Hater. Because he hated his sister in their mother's womb. That's what they're not telling us. All right. So his name was Cain, meaning hater, because he hated her in his mother's womb, meaning that Luluwa and Cain used to fight a lot in the womb. Therefore, Adam named him Cain. But Lulua means beautiful because she was more beautiful than her mother. Okay? She was more beautiful than her mother. That is much needed to know, because who did Cain desire as a wife or as a maiden is his sister. All right? So let's fast forward. All right. So then Adam prepared an offering, and he and Eve offered it up for their children and brought it to the altar they had first built. And Adam offered up the offering and besought God to accept the offering. Then God accepted it, so on and so on. And Adam came down from a part of their joy, and Adam and Eve waited until their daughter was 8 days old. And then Adam prepared an offering, took it to Eve, to the children, and they went to the altar where Adam offered up, and he was with the Lord, or as he was wont. I don't understand that. Asking the Lord to accept that. So I got to go into that because I ain't understanding that all the way. But that particular word, I should say. All right. All right. Then at the end there, okay, boom, here we go. All right. So, and the Lord accepted the offering of Adam and Eve, and then Adam and Eve and the children drew near together, and they came down from the mountain rejoicing. They returned to the cave which they were born, and came to the cave of treasures in order so the children should go out around it and bless with the tokens brought from the garden. But after they had been blessed with these tokens, then they went to the cave which they were born. However, before Eve had offered up the offerings, Adam had taken her and had gone with her to the river, which they threw themselves at first, and there they washed themselves, and Adam washed his body, and Eve her also, after the suffering and distress that had came upon them. All right. And Adam and Eve, until the children had done sucking, then they were weaned. And Adam made an offering for the souls of his children, other than the 3 times he had made an offering for them every week. When the days of nursing the children were ended, Eve again conceived, and when her days were accomplished, she brought forth another son and daughter, named the son Abel and the daughter Acheliah. Then at the end of the 40 days, Adam made an offering for the son. At the end of the 8 days, he made another offering for the daughter, and then by them he had done before Cain and Lulua. All right. So after that, after they were born, after the birth of these, Eve ceased childbearing. Okay, meaning she ain't have no more. Let's see, where you at with it? The spirit world is deep. 33 master number. Yes, sir. There was 33 people in the room. Acheliah. All right, exactly. So we going into it. That's why we finna go into all these spiritual realms, and we finna get into it. All right. So this is another thing I was trying to get you guys to see and to understand that they don't talk about in the book of Genesis. When we read it out of this particular book, which is the Holy Bible, right? When we coming out of there, King James Version, they not mentioning this, which is important because this is the stuff that we mention in church to tie things together. Because a lot of people, one of the biggest misconceptions, well, I ain't gonna say misconceptions, but one of the biggest things, me growing up, first getting to the spirituality, me getting out of Christianity and all of these different things, the first thing was like, well, when Cain got casted out, some people say he got casted out the garden. When he got casted from God, well, who did he go marry? Who did he go visit? It was other people on the earth, this, that, and the third. But then we come back to the book of Adam and Eve. When he left with his sister. And then they went and multiplied. Yeah, so we're in the book of Adam and Eve. That's the thing. A lot of the things we not hearing of, but Acheliah was the wife of Seth, and that's where you get Enoch and everybody, all the mother boys. Exactly. You know, this whole thing is tricknology. That's why we can't just dwell in one book. It's a science behind being deceived, and that's what we dwelling in the world that we in. So through the information that's being provided, we gotta uncover the truth. Everybody won't have eyes. Everybody won't have eyes to see. Everybody won't have ears to listen. Everybody won't have a mouth to speak. All right. And we get that. We can get that also in the story of Abraham, which is big. Okay. Now we getting into Cain becomes jealous because of his sisters, not the favor of God. Okay. That's another thing we get misconcepted. We got to understand we going through things because of fleshly desires, because we are flesh of animal flesh, so we do things that are animalistic at times. Exactly. That's why you got to look at certain words. People want to say, oh, don't take it out of context. Nah, some things you need to take out of context because the context really ain't on point. Okay? Because sometimes the context ain't on point. So let's get into it. Okay, so, and the children began to wax stronger, meaning grow stronger, and to grow in stature. Wax stronger, I forget what wax. I just learned increase. Wax is another word for increase. Okay, wax or in wane. So waxing, increase, waning, meaning decreasing. All right, so wax stronger and grow in stature. But Cain was hard-hearted and ruled over his younger brother. Okay? And oftentimes when his father made offerings, he would remain behind and not go with them to offer up. So boom, right there, we already giving you what Cain liked. Cain, one of them older brothers, always looking down on his younger brother, pushing him around. And then when dad and younger brother trying to go out and do stuff with the boys, you want to hang around the house. You don't even want to slide. We going fishing. We going off. Like, you don't even want to slide. You at the house. This is stuff that's relatable. We got to remember, so everything in every spirituality, we going to pull out what's relatable so we can actually resonate with it in real time. That's the whole point. All right, man. I'll see you later. Hey, appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm glad y'all been on here, man. For real. I appreciate it. I'm glad y'all taking it in. So Cain was one of those type of other brothers. But as to Abel, he had a meek heart, meaning not weak, but strong, just quiet, and was obedient to his father and mother, whom he often moved to make an offering because he loved it and prayed and fasted much. So we see the difference. You got baby boy, you got older brother. Baby boy do what mom and daddy do. He trying to do everything they do, and he love it. All right, big brother, not so much. Okay, so then came this sign to Abel. He was coming into the cave of treasure, and saw golden rods and incense and myrrh. And he inquired of his parents, Adam and Eve, concerning them, and said unto them, how did you come by these? Then Adam told him all that had befallen them, and Abel felt deeply about what his father had told him. So let's peep game right now. Cain ain't even really know the whole story. Maybe, possibly. They were a few years apart, so it was a possibility. But from knowing Cain's nature, was hard-hearted and ruled over his younger brother, he probably ain't listened to what his dad had to say all the time. All right, he ain't even going to offerings all the time. Things happening now, exactly, and that's the main thing when we looking at these spiritualities is the transparency, and then the dots that connect in these spiritualities and the things that don't connect, so we can actually see what's going on out here in the world. All right, so boop boop boop. All right, all right, so let me see. Fast enough. Then came the sign to Abel. How did boom. Furthermore, his father Adam told him the works of God of the garden, and after that he remained behind his father the whole of the night in the cave. All right. And that night, while he was praying, Satan appeared unto him under the figure of a man. Boom. While he was praying that night, Satan appeared unto him under the figure of a man who said unto him. All right, so we got to remember, these are apparitions and visions. A lot of people want to take these things literal, but these are visions seeming to appear real. So then they distract us. All right, we have that all the time. Think about all the thoughts that distract you from getting to what you need to get to, or just focus on what you need to be focused on. All right, so we ain't gonna get into this whole personal development thing either. But as for Abel, he prayed to God. Oh, excuse me. And Satan appeared unto him and said to him, Thou hast oftentimes moved thy father to make an offering, to fast and to pray. Therefore I will kill thee and make thee perish from this world. So Satan told him off rip, bro, just because you giving your father more juices to keep doing what he's doing, I'm taking you out. But as for Abel, he prayed to God and drove Satan away from him and believed not the words of the devil. Then when it was day, an angel of God appeared unto him, who said unto him, Shorten neither fasting, prayer, nor offering up an obligation unto thy God, for lo, the Lord has accepted thy prayer. But be not afraid of the figure which appeared unto thee in the night, and who cursed thee unto death. And the angel departed from him. All right? He just threw that in there because he didn't want to throw him off. But, all right, here we go about with the Cain boy. But as to hard-hearted Cain, Satan came to him by night and showed himself unto him. And since Adam and Eve loved thy brother Abel much more than they loved thee, and wished to join him in marriage to thy beautiful sister, boom. I think they Adam and Eve already said it because they did discuss it. If I'm remembering correctly, about the marriage between the sisters and the brothers. So it said that Satan came up to him by night and showed himself and said unto him, Since Adam and Eve loved thy brother much more than they loved thee, and wish to join him in marriage to thy beautiful sister, because they love him, but wish to join thee in the marriage to his ill-favored sister, because they hate thee. Now, therefore, I counsel thee, when they do that, to kill thy brother, then thy sister will be left for thee. His sister will be cast away. And Satan departed from him, but the wicked one remained behind in the heart of Cain, who sought many a time to kill his brother. This ain't about no favor with the Most High. This ain't about the favor with the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Who's the good guy, Cain or Abel? So that's what we dealing with. There is no good guy. But that's the great thing about it. There is no good guy. There's only relatable information that we see in here. It's only relatable information. Okay? There is no good brother or bad brother. It's brothers being deceived through the natures that they were born with, through the characters that they had developed over the time, being through their experiences on this plane. So Cain was what? He was already hard-hearted. Cain means hater because he hated his sister in his belly. They fought all the time. But this was the seed that the serpent or Satan planted within Eve and Adam to come forth in this plane. So now Satan can use him. Exactly. Now Satan can use him. Okay? Now, as we see, by telling them what?